this. I'm Jeff Young. I'm with the Confer Group, CIO in residence, and Julie Schultz is also with me, our CEO, and we want to thank you for taking the time today. This is a unique opportunity in my mind. I was very excited to be able to have the four groups together. Having been a sitting CIO and to go to one place and hear these four perspectives at once is an incredible time saver for executives in my mind. So I'm going to pass this meeting over to two fine gentlemen. They're the founders of the Adler Advisor Group, and they're going to take you from here the rest of the way. So Dustin Rydell, Alex McBrantney, thank you so much for being here today with us, and the show's all yours. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Greatly appreciate that expedient introduction. I always like to let people know where we're going here today. So we're going to discuss UCaaS. It is definitely more than just dial tone here in 2021. So Alex will take that for us. And then we'll just tell you how we're seeing the industry play out here in 2021 and how rapidly it's changing. And then there's a handful of different ways to buy UCaaS. One of the reasons Alex and I started Adler Advisors is because there's traditionally two ways to buy telecommunications. The first is from Adam AT&T, and Adam over at AT&T doesn't know about other solutions in the market space, and typically will not be able to compare and contrast what he offers to somebody else. The other is Bob Broker, and the typical broker in the country is just a one-man shop. So what Alex and I did was flip that paradigm on its head. We have a whole bunch of people that handle quotes, project management, and account management. So you get a team of 15 people when you work with us. And then we'll hop into the carrier presentations. We've got some great carriers with us here today. They all do things a little bit differently. So, out of the 10 people we have on the call here today, 2 of you might like certain ones, and other ones are going to make more sense for different companies and different solutions that we're looking for. And with that, we'd love to know what else UCaaS includes outside of just dial tone, Alex.
Absolutely. And at the end, we definitely want to get into the Q&A because that's a lot where you get to really dive deeper into these solutions. And, when I said, what is UCaaS, obviously I'm talking with a lot of IT executives. Everyone knows UCaaS is unified communications in the cloud. But what's changed over the years a lot is just what's being added to the mix, right? Before it was just voice, fax, maybe some email, things like that. But now we're talking about the contact center, SMS is being brought into it, mobility, workforce collaboration. We all saw the huge boom that, teams had with collaboration when it came to the pandemic last year. So it's just constantly changing. The big piece of the puzzle that I mentioned earlier with the contact center, you can go so deep into what's changing with contact center and how it's now affecting customer success more than it ever has before. And really finding the channel that your client wants to integrate with, or they want to communicate with. You talk about the millennials, baby boomers, everyone's got a different aspect on how they want to get in and speak with success. And so that's where we're seeing a lot with contact center, but it's all molding together into this whole unified communications. And it's just figuring out what's going to be best for your organization and figuring out where that's going to lead as a business driver moving forward. And so Dustin will take over some more of the State of the Union with what's going on.
Yeah, so a year and a half ago, I did not know how to spell MS Teams. And now I talk about it like 12 times a day. There's not a deal, half of my deals have MS Teams. So it's some sort of integration, or do we want to go full-blown Teams? We're seeing that absolutely take over. We're seeing AI come into this space, and Dialpad's really good at that. We won't steal any of their thunder. We'll just give them a quick shout out here at the top of the call. The other thing that we're seeing in this space is that it's no longer okay just to have like one aspect of the solution. A lot of clients are requiring folks or desiring that the solution that they choose have everything included. So you saw Zoom just recently buy Five9 for $15 billion. Vonage bought the second largest texting platform, a competitor to Twilio, and Dialpad's making acquisitions as well. So, Alex, tell us how this is not your parents' PBX.
Well, yeah. So, I love throwing stats out there, and we can all find them all over the place. but it's not your parents' PBX because it's changed so much. Justin mentioned the AI, right? AI market is growing leaps and bounds, and where it's growing the most is in the contact center with call sentiment and analysis, and you have ways for it to integrate with the IVR, and so it's going beyond just plugging in and having the voice calls come in or coming in through email for customer success and whatnot. What we're seeing is that, and Dustin mentioned the acquisitions with Dialpad and Vonage and everybody in Zoom buying Five9, it's that companies want an all-in-one. They don't want to have disparate systems anymore. When software as a service first came around and you had Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics, it was just the CRM, and you see it all over. They're bringing in people all the time in their app foundries so that you can have an all-in-one solution. So you don't have those disparate systems. So your agents aren't having to go between different screens, and you can just sit in one environment and accomplish everything you need to accomplish. So that's where we're seeing this all-in-one, and that's where 68% of buyers want that all-in-one experience. And that's why the acquisitions just keep happening, year over year. And ultimately, it's coming down to increased productivity, better collaboration, and faster problem solving. So, a question I always like to ask, and it's a little hard here because I only see so many of you, but maybe we can put it into the text is, since the pandemic, how many people use Microsoft Teams to collaborate in our office or another platform similar to Teams? Can't really see any hands, but I'm sure. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. So what we saw is, Chris will talk about this with CallTower a lot as far as the growth with Teams and just the growth in collaboration interofficely, and that's where you see the faster problem solving. And it can be through tools like Asana or Slack or Teams or Google Workspace, and how it's just increasing productivity so much quicker. You don't have to send emails anymore. People aren't sending emails anymore unless it's something that's can't be handled over a message such as Teams or whatnot. And the last part that I really have seen growth and where we're talking to our clients about, and 5 years ago, it was kind of, we joked around about millennials and having to work with millennials and Gen Zers and having them to do TikToks on their breaks and whatnot. But what we're seeing is that they're taking over the workplace, and they work really different than how the Gen Y baby boomers, anyone born before 1980, and what their expectations are, what their communication expectations are, whether it's inter-office communication or whether it's in the contact center and you're dealing with customers and how they want to talk with the business that they're doing business with. And so what they're seeing is, 58% of the workforce over the next decade is going to be in these two generations. And a question I have by a show of hands, again, it's a little trickier, but how many people expect to have desk phones at their desk over the next 2 years, or plan on getting rid of their desk phones over the next 2 years? So what we're seeing is that it's going away. I remember when I got rid of mine and everything's off the cell phone or just off the soft phone, is once they get used to it, it's really hard to go back to a desk phone. And we're talking to other clients that, if they're old school legacy type, companies, we see a lot of law firms, doctor offices, architecture firms, CPAs, they always like to have that desk phone, but we're even seeing it there where it's starting to go away and go into the soft phone. So the generations are changing, the needs are changing, and that's where we see a big change going on right now. Let me pass it back over to Dustin and talk about buying tips.
I think this one's actually yours.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. So the big thing that we're seeing when we talk to our clients, it's all about the business drivers, right? What's taking them from an on-premise system into the cloud, or what's taking them from an existing system to another system within the cloud? And the two big ones that we really see is the increased uptime, and we see the functionality, right? What's happening is a lot of times our clients are seeing that we're just going to take the PBX features and recreate them in the cloud, but they're missing a huge bucket of features and functionality that they don't even know that exists sometimes. And so it's this, when they get to those other feature sets and when they get to AI and get to these other communication factors, they're seeing that the scalability and the flexibility is the one that's really driving the growth within the company, right? With voice recognition, the different IVRs and the call sentiment, like I mentioned earlier. And so what's happening now is that we're seeing other teams within the companies be part of the decision-making process. It's not just IT making the decision anymore. We're seeing operations and marketing and sales come in, or customer success come in, because it affects their departments even more than ever. And with a lot of these features and integrations with different systems, it's making it more viable for them to be able to get a lot of advantage from these different integrations with the different UCaaS solutions. And so we're seeing a full meld of the different offices come together to make a decision. And IT is typically one spearheading it, right? They're making sure that all these systems are going to integrate. They're taking all those key requirements and then going out and vetting those partners to make sure that those partners have everything they need. Are they PCI compliant? Are they HIPAA compliant? What are the security concerns around, the different UCaaS providers? And they can provide the right amount of security for that solution. So lastly, it's just define those requirements, the key features and functionality that you want. And a lot of it, and we'll see this later today with some of our providers, is if you can think it, it can typically be done, right? You don't know what you don't know until you start digging deep into the business problems of what you're trying to solve for, because you'll see a lot of these providers, especially today, have the ability to customize, and they have the ability to really dig deep into your business problems that you're trying to solve for and get creative to find a solution that's going to work for your organization. Now it's your turn, Dustin. My apologies.
It is indeed. So if you're a CIO, head of IT out there looking out, you've got a couple of different options when looking for a solution. I love this today because you get to speed date 4 different carriers, and they're all going to do things a little bit different and a little bit better. But we see a lot of people going to Google. The problem with that is that you're just getting whoever has the biggest marketing budget is going to show up top, and whoever is the biggest. But that might not be the right fit for you and your specific needs. The other one is those review sites out there, G2 and a handful of others, Crowd. And what we find with those is I think those are even a little bit better. But the marketing people always tell their family to get on there and put positive reviews. So you're not getting real, and it's not real time. So it's both. It's that there's probably some fake reviews on there, and that it's not as real time as working with a consultant, which I'll talk about in a second. Gartner has really strict requirements on what you have to be able to do. You have to be able to go international. You've got to be around for a certain amount of time, and you've got to pay Gartner a lot of money to be a part of their program. So it's a good barometer, but it might not still be the best carrier solution for you. I would argue that a consultant is typically unbiased, and they're looking out for the best of long-term solutions for their clients. The problem with them is that they're typically very expensive to work with. And one of the other big advantages is that they can do one discovery meeting and then go out and source out. We have 65 UCaaS carriers, our favorite 4 here with us today. But we could literally have, this conversation with 61 other carriers, hypothetically, if we heard something in a discovery call that we could put in front of specific carriers.
Perfect.
So what we do over here at Adler Advisors is we do that one discovery call. We typically like to get into the bills, and then we're happy to roll out an RFP, find the right people, narrow down from 65 to the top 3 or 4, do a bill analysis so we understand where you're spending money today, what your network looks like, how you're handling voice, all of those sorts of things. In an ideal world, we're trying to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And I would say probably about 75% of the time that works. We can get you more functionality, save you a couple of bucks as well. Go into vendor demos. Like I said, these are pre-vetted suppliers that we know are going to do an excellent job for you. And then we're going to negotiate the best price possible. Alex is working on this right now. We work on this all day, every day. So we know where we can get pricing for a certain size organization. And then what's a little bit different about Adler Advisors is that we're not just a one-man shop. Carla heads up our project management team. She has her PMP. She is one of 3 full-time project managers that we have. And so she will make sure that your install goes extremely well. And then we have account management, because there's always going to be something that comes up a year down the road or 2 years down the road where you need some sort of escalation, or you need somebody to look at a bill. Hey, it keeps going up. Why is that happening? Send it over to us and our team, and we'll make sure that we get that sorted for you. And then we'll follow up with the carriers 200 times to make sure that you get that credit. With that, I'll pass it back over to Alex to tell us about the advantages of Adler.
Yeah, and you really don't need account management when you have Lumen or AT&T or Verizon, because they're always perfect. You don't have to worry about any sort of billing issues or trouble.
Wildly sarcastic.
So lastly, a lot of people ask, what are the 3 distinct advantages? The biggest one, and a lot of questions that our clients will ask us when we're first getting to know them is, well, what does it cost, right? For us, we don't charge a consulting fee. There's no cost associated with our consulting. We work similar to the direct reps. So the carrier is actually going to pay us a commission similar to what they do with the direct rep, except they just pay us for bringing the customer or client to them. So the second piece I'd say is a big advantage is that we have one cohesive team with the experience and expertise from over 3,000 implementations over the past 12 years that we've been doing. And we've seen it all. We've seen the FOC dates being missed. We've seen the carriers dropping their lines. And so it's when those bad things happen, we're there to help pick the pieces up and then even ensure that those things don't happen, because we know which carriers have trouble doing installations or which ones are having trouble with their project management. And so we get ahead of it. That's the main goal. And the last one, I'd say the big advantage is our product breadth and the depth. So we have 7 different categories we can help our clients with our consulting. Obviously, today we're talking about unified communications. I always wrap in contact center because that's typically 80% are going to have some sort of contact center involved with the UCaaS decision as well. And then the depth with over 200 plus, verified partners. We don't bring in anybody that can just sign a contract. We vet them out, make sure that they're financially viable and that they're going to be around for the long haul. And so with that, we're going to take this time to pass this over to Chris Lee from CallTower.
And thank you, Alex, for and of course, Jeff, as well as Dustin for the wonderful intro there. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Again, my name is Chris Lee. I'm the Channel Sales Director here at CallTower. So really, who is CallTower? And more importantly, why do customers come to CallTower for native direct routing for Microsoft Teams? Let's dive into that. First off, CallTower is considered as the best breed unified communication solutions provider in the industry today. And the reason being is that we actually leverage 3 UCaaS platforms. The first platform is the Microsoft platform for Microsoft Teams native direct routing. The second platform is CT Cloud Voice, powered by Metaswitch, which is also owned by Microsoft. And the third platform that we offer is hosted Cisco HCS. Now, of course, as you can see, we've been around since 2002. We were the first company to actually deploy a Cisco Call Manager into the cloud. And of course, today we still offer Cisco HCS to our larger enterprise customers. Now, in 2008, we wanted to diversify, so we started looking at Microsoft, and it made perfect sense. So shortly after that, we became a Microsoft Gold partner as well as a cloud service provider. So what that really means is that we have been in the Microsoft game for quite a while. And so we've been doing voice with Microsoft since 2008. We started out doing, deploying the OCS, and then it was LCS, and then it was Link, then went to Skype for Business. Now, of course, Microsoft Teams native direct routing. Our third platform here is our CT Cloud Voice, which is our Metaswitch. And we leverage this platform to offer ancillary services from e-faxing to analog adapters for fax machines, overhead paging systems, doorbell buzzers, etc. And of course, we also leverage this platform to fill in some of the feature gaps that Teams does not have today. For example, SMS texting on a Teams DID, as well as call recording on a Teams DID. And most important of all, we actually leverage this platform to offer disaster recovery. So in case of a Teams outage, we have the capability to reroute incoming calls to a soft phone that's on a Metaswitch, or to a cell phone, or to a voicemail box, etc. Of course, all 3 platforms have been deployed on a single CallTower network, purpose-built for voice. And so really it helps provide more additional solutions, more customizable solutions to help really customers adapt in today's ever-changing environment. What is native direct routing, by the way? So, being native, meaning that CallTower leverages the Microsoft phone system here in its entirety for all the features and functionality. That means from the call queues to the auto attendant, your Dialpad, your voice messages, your call logs, and everything is within Teams. And so, as you can see here, and of course, being native also is that we have being native, meaning that we have done all the heavy lifting at CallTower. CallTower has deployed multiple certified Microsoft certified session border controllers across our data centers, so that our customers don't have to deploy any hardware at all. And as you can see here, the customer is connected directly to Microsoft, and that's always the case. So it's really, really important that you have a strong internet connection between the customer and Microsoft. I'm sorry about that. And of course, because we're native, just kind of know that staying compliant with HIPAA, PCI, CMMC, NIST, ITAR, and so forth is no longer an issue for a lot of our enterprise customers, as well as our defense contractors customers for the Department of Defense. Again, because the customer is connected directly to the Microsoft cloud, all the data is stored in the Microsoft cloud and nothing on CallTower. Hence the reason why CallTower is the only provider that has been approved by Microsoft to provide direct routing as a service for GCC high licenses designed specifically for the defense contractors for the Department of Defense. This is where I kind of touch on the native versus non-native. Of course, there's a lot of confusion out there in the marketplace. And again, native meaning that, this is kind of a recap. The upper half of the slide is a recap of CallTower. So being native meaning that we leverage the Microsoft phone system for all the features and functionality, so the call queues and so forth. And then Microsoft just leverages our global network to route calls. And of course, we only leverage the Microsoft Metaswitch for ancillary services and for backup. Now, of course, the non-native solution is actually in reverse. So it's 95% UCaaS and only 5% Teams in a sense, where all the features of functionality resides on the UCaaS platform and not in Teams. So all your call queues and so forth is in the UCaaS platform. And then also with a non-native solution, also relies on a third-party application that ties Teams together, so it integrates with Teams. Just to give you a perfect example of that, what I really mean by native direct routing with CallTower, here's a quick example of what my Teams application looks like when it's native. You'll be leveraging the Microsoft Dialpad, as you see here, and it's not a plugin or a downloadable secondary Dialpad that you have to use. And you also see that the voice, also see that the call log is right here in Teams as well. Missed calls, incoming calls, and so forth. You have the capability to kind of sort that out there as well. Your voice messages will also be in Teams. As you can see here, when I click on this, not only do I get text transcription, I also have audio playback within Teams as well. So everything is native within Teams. When it comes to contacts, it integrates with Outlook. So if I really need to give Alex a quick call, I just do a quick search for Alex, and there he is right there. I can do a quick click the dial, and there, and just off with Teams, and off we go. It also integrates with Calendar, your Outlook, so I can join my meetings from Teams. I don't have to ever go to Outlook ever again if I don't want to. I also have access to all my files within OneDrive, because everything is again within the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, in case of there's an outage, of course, we talked about a backup auto attendant with their Metaswitch, but if you have a internet disconnection or a bad internet outage, you can also launch your Teams application on your mobile device. And by doing so, here's my Teams application here. I'm going to launch that, and you'll see that I have the same access to my invites. I can join my meetings from my mobile device as well. I have the same call tab capabilities. I have same call history, so if I'm making calls from my mobile phones, is the same as making calls from my PC. So everything is in one single pane of glass. Now, from an administrative perspective, let me share this slide where this is where the Office 365 tenant, this is where you would build all your users. And once you go into your tenant, you see that there is also a voice tab down here. And as you click, you'll see, you scroll down the bottom, you'll see there, that's where you build your auto attendants, as well as call queues, which is hunt groups for, Microsoft call them call queues. But the auto attendants are here. You can actually go in and really build the auto attendant. Well, of course, we helped set that up for you originally, so that way you don't have to do that up front. but it has the call flow, the after hours, and everything in there as well. So we can actually build it out as as your business requires. From a call queue perspective, the same thing. You go in, it's pretty robust, has all the features and functionality. You can scroll down, you'll see that the call queues will have the capability of you can add greetings or play greetings. You also have the routing method to ring all, serial routing, and so forth. So all the features are within this ecosystem. You'll see that down here at the bottom for reporting and analytics is also in your Office 365 tenant. So when you click on this right here for usage reports, you can select on either it's a Teams device or PSTN calling. I'm going to select on this, select the date range, and run a report, and it automatically runs a report on all the phone numbers and all the calls that's happening within the Teams environment. And then you can also download that to an Excel spreadsheet as well. Again, everything's within the Microsoft Teams application or within your Office 365 tenant because we're native.
Perfect. Is that it? Are you done, Chris, or you have more to show?
I did have a little more. How much more time do I have?
Got a couple, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, perfect. So really, I want to kind of touch on the, this is kind of important for a lot of our customers as well. Taxes and fees have always been discussed, but I think this is really where it's important. I think the industry average today, if you look at your bill, is between 30 to 50%. Our taxes, our taxes and fees average is around 15 to 18%. So this is really a huge key differentiator for a lot of our partners or customers today, especially in today's environment. So, and then last but not least, I will touch on the training that we provide. So when it comes to deploying Teams, we always have a professional project manager that can handle either Cisco, Teams, or Metaswitch. To just kind of know that we offer live training, onboard live training with a live trainer for all the end users as well as admin. And then just kind of know that the training is available throughout the term of the contract as well at no additional cost. With that, Alex, I will end the call. I guess we ran out of time there.
No, that's fine. And we'll have time later for a Q&A where people can jump in and ask more questions, because I know with direct routing, it can get confusing for some. And I'm glad you pointed out the third-party integrator versus how you guys have the direct routing. So we have a lot of clients that are using CallTower, especially after the pandemic and during the pandemic, as they're already using Teams. They want to add the voice piece, but don't want to buy minutes through Microsoft or have to deal with Microsoft. So you guys are a great partner in that. So thank you.
Thank you.
So next, I'd like to introduce Erica McDowell, and she is with Dialpad, and she's going to go into what they're doing and some of the AI technology that Dustin touched on earlier and how they're doing that on their voice platform. So Erica, take it away.
Wonderful. So let me go ahead and make sure I share my screen, and give me a thumbs up. Can everyone see me okay yet?
Got it.
Gotcha.
Beautiful. So first off, I really just want to thank Adler Advisors, Confer Group for having us here today. It really is a pleasure and honor to be a part of this discussion and really just kind of presenting on some of the things that make Dialpad different. I certainly don't want to give you guys death by PowerPoint or anything else. I always say, listen, we'll give you high-level overview for the most part, and then if there is further conversation, I'm always about looking at a demo, kind of seeing what it actually looks like and the way it would interact in whatever your environment would be. So with that, I do like briefly talking about who Dialpad is as a company. We are obviously a full suite UCaaS, CCaaS provider. And I always tell people that we really were created within the second generation cloud. And what that means, or second generation cloud means, is post iPhone. So post mobile phone applications. And I got to tie it back to some statistic that Alex was talking about earlier with millennials coming in the workforce, modern workforce, things of that nature, and just where the future is going. Our product really was built for the today technology and for the future. And let me see if it'll click to my next screen. So I briefly like to just give a little history about Dialpad and where we came from. So our CEO, Craig, was one of the original starters and engineers for Google Voice, Yahoo Voice. I remember Yahoo Voice from back in my days as well, using that application. He had recognized, being at Google and a lot of those companies, that communications was changing. I can remember selling old PBXs back in the day, back in New York. Very, very different technology. Today is just a whole different view on what you need to use. So in around 2011 is when he decided to launch Dialpad. And Dialpad really was built, again, on that software-based application with the knowledge of everything that he obtained from Google, which is one of the largest companies, obviously in the world. And then more recently, Dustin and Alex had brought up the voice intelligence or AI feature that we have, which we're going to really touch on that quite a bit when I talk through this. We acquired that company back in 2018, and it's all 100% proprietary to Dialpad. And more recently, that functionality was scored higher than Siri and Google, but we'll dive into that a little bit more. And then more recently, we've had quite a bit of investors that have come into Dialpad. More recently, we've had T-Mobile and a very strategic partnership that got launched. Out of all the different UCaaS and CCaaS companies out there, when T-Mobile was looking for really who was going to be the best partnership to have and even using their own infrastructure, and they chose Dialpad throughout that entire RFP process. Okay. So I like showing this slide because it really just shows the simplicity of Dialpad. So we've used this new marketing term, which I actually really like this term because it does make sense, is we are a true CaaS provider. And what that means is all of our communications are on a single platform. We have built everything in-house to Dialpad. All of our meeting applications, our video applications, the voice intelligence transcription that we'll get into, the phone side of it, it is all within Dialpad. And what's really nice about that is it gives companies like us that ability to really control the development roadmap. So when we need to have enhancements done, we need to make changes, we own the entire infrastructure, and we keep it pretty simple from a SKU perspective, right? We have 4 simple SKUs. So you don't have to do a bunch of different add-ons and I need to add this basic feature, or hey, I want to have this. It's very simple SKUs that we have. Okay. So I keep bringing up this term, the voice intelligence and artificial intelligence. And when I started at Dialpad, and again, like I said, I've been around for 15 years. I've done different types of call center implementations. I've done corporate training background. I've worked with a lot of different types of companies and organizations in an account management role. And I've seen a lot of this stuff change and just different things companies need. And Gartner had done this research not that long ago where they were trying to figure out how prevalent AI and VI was going to be in the market. And they were saying by the end, and we're in 2021, but by the end of 2021, that over 55% of established companies are going to be looking at some sort of voice intelligence or artificial intelligence. And that's where we really come into play and we shine and differentiate the most in the market. What this really is, it's a speech recognition, real-time transcription product that we have. So every single phone conversation, every chat, every video conversation is all transcribed in real time. So clients can go back and get that data, see what's happening in real time. We see law offices who use it or lawyers that use it where I'm on my cell phone, I'm in front of a courthouse, and I've got a client that called in, and I'm talking to them about their case and what's happening. And then, oh, by the way, I forgot what happened because now I've got to go into this, court hearing that I have to do. Well, now that the call's transcribed, I can go back later, figure out billable hours. I can also go back and see what was discussed. So it keeps it just very honest. And that's just one use case out of many use cases that we really have in this space here. So just to kind of touch on this a little bit and just give some real examples of what clients that I've worked with personally myself in this kind of situation. So real-time actionable AI. So great. Now you've got this data from your phone conversations. What do you really do with it other than notes and other things, right? So from a pre-call perspective, right, you can get predictive insights. Call history and notes is the one thing I brought up. So if you want to know how many times somebody called in and brought up a competitor, or how many times a certain product got brought up in a phone conversation within the entire organization, you can find that out. And just when calls come in, like being able to have, knowing who called in. There's a lot that you can really do with this. Knowing what to say. So Alex brought up the contact center aspect of it, which is a piece of UCaaS these days as well, because it's really just kind of all getting put into the same bucket these days. Being able to real-time assist agents, that real-time sentiment. So corporate trainer hat days for me, I used to have to go into a recording tool and pull these calls to see what happened. And I would have to guess if it was a good call or a bad call because I had no idea, and it would take me hours. Versus today, I could now, as a trainer, if I was still a trainer, see it happening in real time and determine if that call was going positive, negative, or neutral and decide to intervene, which improves the customer experience. Okay, that's just one example here. And then again, just knowing what happened. The one thing I like to really touch on, and we'll touch on this again as well, is that all of our transcription, recording, everything else, because we're built in the cloud, is stored infinitely. So you'll always have access to this data at any point in time, and there's no fees that we charge for storing that data. So I'm not going to bore you with architecture, I promise. I just like to show this page because, again, it is something that really differentiates us big time in the market. The reason voice intelligence is possible is because we're built out of Google Cloud. Now, or GCP, which people have probably heard that term, on the call here today. The logic's stored there. The recording stuff is stored there. All of our enhancements are done here, right? The reason we have the cloud is because it gives us that ability to scale faster, add features in real time, right? So we do actually do product updates weekly, and it's because we're built in this platform. Now, we do also have the data center model built into this as well. And the reason we have the data center model built into this as well is because it gives us that worldwide presence, but it also gives a quality of service as well, right? So I think that part of it's really important, where from a QoS perspective, if we were just having the platform only, you lose that QoS aspect of it. Or if you're just in the data center only, you're tied to bandwidth. And that makes it pretty difficult when you have to keep adding data centers. So just to tie this all together on why Dialpad. So we've dubbed the work from anywhere solution. I came from the old school world of selling phone systems and been doing it with all kinds of businesses. And really, I live on my cell phone. I'm a mom. I have to go pick my daughter up, and really just being able to stay connected and access my calls later from any device, my physical phone as well, because you can do it on physical phones as well, has been an amazing thing. Being able to text through here, see just everything, like software is infinite. It just blows my mind these days. And we're truly unified. We're very transparent about that. Our platform is 100% proprietary. So customers that really need to scale, add users, add locations, you can do that in an instant. It's amazing how quickly you can spin up locations these days. Built-in AI, it is included in every single license we offer. So we don't penny pinch on this. We don't charge extra for it. It is embedded into every single license. And it's designed for the current workforce and for the future. It is super simple to use. I use it all the time. Obviously, I work at Dialpad, but it is a very easy to use application, and it's secure, reliable. We do give 100% guaranteed SLA uptime. And I'd like to just briefly point in here the 24/7 customer support. And we do give a dedicated account manager to all of our clients. And am I doing good on time, guys?
You have just about a minute and a half.
Perfect. Okay. So I like to just show this slide just for a little extra street credibility that we have here. But these are just 2 customer testimonies that we have. We do have the link on our website, or we have it on our website as well, where you can see those testimonies. We service customers as large as a WeWork office, where we do all the different offices. When they need to add users, scale new conference rooms, lines, we're able to do that very, very quickly for them because, again, it's a software-based application. And then companies like MarketStar as well is another one that we service. And hold on, that's Dialpad.
Thank you so much, Erica. So I have a little Dialpad story. Just 3 weeks ago, was working with a client. We did that one discovery. He told us all of his requirements. We hop on with with Erica and some of our colleagues. We're starting through the demo. We have it booked for an hour. 42 minutes in, the guy says, stop. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did we upset him? Did we offend him? And he's like, I've seen everything I need to see. We're going with you guys. That's never happened. I've been doing this job for 20 years. And it just, because you guys have a really tight integration with Google Workspace, they were a Google shop. Like the lights went on for him. The AI, that transcription, it was everything that they needed. Rolled out 50 phones already, on their way to 400 over the next year or 2. And I think that's actually going to happen even quicker than that. And with that, we'd love to be able to turn it over to Vonage. And I'm Not seeing up on the screen yet, but oh, yes, Akil.
Perfect. Thanks, Dustin. I appreciate it. And thank you, Erica and Chris, for your presentations as well. And again, I'd like to kind of go through, the goal here is not to go through a lot of presentation, but just, keep it conversational about, what sets Vonage apart. Hopefully everyone has heard of Vonage before, I'm sure. We've been obviously providing UC contact center API services now for the last couple of decades. A lot of people recognize Vonage, obviously, from our early days in the industry. I want to say I think we pioneered the voice over IP space in the early 2000s when we were providing a cheap, inexpensive way for folks to connect with friends and family members around the world through our residential product. And that's where a lot of people still remember when they hear Vonage, they go, "Oh yeah, you guys provide home services." No, that was 20 years ago, correct? But we've kind of built upon that same technology and now, are the largest unified communications contact center player in the space, and kind of made this pivot away from a residential player into now providing this state-of-the-art solution on the unified communication services. So based on what everyone has already talked about, obviously we know where the industry is going, right? We see the shift happening. We see a lot of changes taking place in the space as far as the different solutions. And I want to say, when we look at where Vonage is as an organization, right, we're one of the few providers that actually owns the entire communication stack. And I think Dustin and Alex mentioned this earlier, right? We went through the acquisitions and brought the best breeds together and put it all together on one centralized platform. So when you look at the Vonage solution, right, it's not really a unified communications play or a contact center play. It is a platform that is available for organizations to leverage, access whatever technology they want from a communications perspective. So if they need just a unified communications technology, they want to leverage that, they can easily consume that from our platform and leverage it for that specific need. But if they want to easily take advantage of some of the contact center features, some of the programmability that comes as part of it, all that is available for them to access. So it really kind of gives our customers the ability to grow and scale with us, right? They have a single provider for all their needs. They don't have to piecemeal different solutions. And because it's all on one centralized technology stack, it becomes very easy to manage. It also becomes very easy for, as far as the user experience is concerned, because your actual user interface is going to look exactly the same. So it becomes very simple from an adoption perspective as well. You're not bringing together multiple different disparate platforms together to accomplish that. So that really, I want to say, is our secret sauce, right? We own the entire technology stack. And then we already had our public cloud infrastructure. Everything, is built obviously in a cloud-based environment, just like Erica mentioned, when she was going through our presentation, right? We understand that to be a strong cloud provider, you have to have a strong cloud background. And that's where Vonage was, born in, right? It's not a traditional telecom company that decided one day, hey, we're going to move to the cloud, right? We've always been a cloud player, and all our core infrastructure is built in the cloud. We use AWS assets globally to provide the global presence, and we have the carrier network to really be able to provide best of class solution as far as origination, termination of stuff is concerned. And the other key component that I'm sure you all see as technology leaders as well is, telephony or communications is only one of the applications that your organization is using. There's always other applications and investments you've made, whether it's your business productivity tools, whether it's your CRM platform or ERP platform, right? And really where everything is going towards is this convergence of technology. Everything is being brought together. And from an end user perspective, you don't want to go through 5 different applications to access, what you're trying to do. You want it easy and available in one centralized place. You want, from a reporting perspective, everything easy and available for one centralized reporting dashboard. And then also you want to be able to manage it simply as well. So that's kind of the other big element where Vonage is really focused on, is that integration suite. We really have an entire suite of integration built natively out of the box. So you're integrated into all these applications you use on a day-to-day basis. So if you're a G Suite user, we're already embedded within G Suite. If you're using Office 365, we can connect directly into Office 365 to provide you that integration. And then if you're in Teams, like I said, we are also one of the players, just like Chris mentioned as well. We have a direct routing agreement with Microsoft as well, where users can live natively within Teams, and they don't necessarily have to swivel away from Teams ever. They can work natively within Teams, make their calls, receive their calls, do everything right there. So again, when you look at Vonage, right, we have that entire breadth and scope of all the different technology aspects that we can bring in from one centralized platform. And then programmability, and I think programmability is a very critical component. When you look at where again business users' needs are, right, there isn't a one size that fits all. So with the programmability aspect, our API platform, right, and I think Dustin, you mentioned earlier, or Alex, you did, right, about us being a direct competitor to Twilio. That's true. It's not just SMS, right? APIs are, messaging APIs, two-factor authentication just to authenticate, and a lot of people, I'm sure everyone is using it these days, right? Forget a password, you get a code that's sent to you to authenticate you. That's an example of 2FA that Vonage provides. Uber is a prime example of an organization that's using our programmability. When you call an Uber driver through the Uber app, or you're messaging an Uber driver through the Uber app, that entire interaction is actually being carried on the Vonage platform, leveraging our API platform. And then the other big thing you want to start seeing, and more is becoming prevalent now, is video being embedded as part of your communication technology as well. That's another API that cannot be used for organizations to embed it within their application, so they have the seamless interaction they can provide. So that's kind of where Vonage really plays. And when you look at kind of some of the other aspects, right, of where things are going from an integration perspective, we have made it easy for a user that is leveraging any of these applications, whether it's Salesforce or some of the other things, where everything's embedded. So as an end user, doesn't matter if you're out and about and you're on your mobile device, your calls are being tracked and logged, your activities being tracked and logged directly within those CRMs of choice. You can basically go back and record it. Your transcription is sitting there, your call logs are sitting there, and it makes it very easy for you to get the data that's necessary. Because again, with all the cool technology that's out there, including AI, it's only as good as the information you feed it, right? And so by us automating that entire process and making it simple for that data to reside and for you to access it from an end user perspective, to see it all from one single pane of glass, that's kind of really where we're focused on. And again, there's a large suite of different integrations that we can provide as well. And then from a unified communications perspective, right, it truly is a unified communication solution, right? Again, it's not singular anymore. It's not just telephony anymore, right? Video, voice, chat, fax, all those elements are part of your unified communication experience, and we're able to now provide that from one centralized interface again. So whether you're on your mobile device, or whether you're on your tablet device, or whether you're on your desktop, you can access the core intelligence that's necessary to be able to receive calls, interact with your users, and be able to collaborate with them as well from one centralized platform. And the big thing to keep in mind again is that we are a global player. So the same experience you would provide for a user sitting here in North America is going to be the exact same user. Same experience somebody's going to get in EMEA, same experience somebody's going to get in APAC. We can port numbers, we can provide local dial tone in those regions, right? So it really kind of gives you that one throat to choke, I guess, the single provider for all those different requirements. And the good part is, if you do decide to use Vonage for the meetings application as well, it leverages WebRTC. And there's a difference between that than the other meeting solutions that are available too, because most meeting solutions these days require you to download an application on your mobile device or tablet device, right? Using WebRTC, there is no download. It's using the actual browser itself. So you can now take that and leverage that anywhere. So for example, if you're in a doctor's office and you're trying to have a video consultation with your doctor, the doctor sends you a link now, and wants to join you in a video conference. You as the end user can just click on the link from your mobile device through a browser itself, and leveraging Safari or Chrome or whatever you have running on your mobile device are right in that video, right? So no application for you to download, no account to create. So it just simplifies that experience, makes it simpler and easier for users to consume that product. And then last but not least, I'd say, from a team's perspective, like Chris mentioned as well, right? That and Dustin and Alex mentioned this earlier as well. There's a large ecosystem of folks that are leveraging Microsoft Office today and leveraging Microsoft Teams today, right? And we're not necessarily going to asking them to replace or completely forklift that. If you're in a Teams environment, you're comfortable using Microsoft, go for it. Continue using Microsoft. We then provide that dial tone or the actual telephony capabilities within Teams and enable that within Teams. So now that Dialpad, as Chris mentioned, that's enabled. You can now make and receive calls right within it. You can SMS, you can fax, you can do everything on it. And because we are the actual core telephony behind it, you can also have a hybrid environment. So if you're in an environment where folks are using Teams and they have some common area phones that doesn't really require a lot of, you don't need a Teams license for that. You can just have a regular Vonage license for those. You can have a Vonage app and a Teams app, so that if Microsoft was to ever go down, your Vonage core system is still functional. So there's a lot of that capability that comes out of the box that you can certainly leverage as well. And then I'll leave you with this, right? So when you look at Vonage, right, again, do not look at Vonage as a singular player just providing telephony, right? We, again, like I mentioned earlier, have this complete suite of products that we can provide, and especially if you're looking to integrate that into your core systems and be able to make that all part of one centralized platform. And like I said, when you look at tools like Salesforce, we are one of the largest partners with Salesforce. We're on the Salesforce App Exchange. We were the top 5 summit partner with Salesforce, where we provide an embedded user experience for the actual users. So again, in that case, users that are actually using Salesforce never leave Salesforce. The Dialpad is enabled right within Salesforce itself to make the call, to receive the call, all within Salesforce itself. And we can now route based on custom objects, leveraging our own AI platform to be able to provide some intelligent routing, to be able to make sure that everything's working correctly. So again, it is a large suite of products and services available on this Vonage platform for you to take advantage of. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Dustin. If there's any questions, certainly we'll address that on the next session.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akil. And I will say, and I hope this doesn't make you guys feel bad, but 4 or 5 years ago, and Dustin and I have talked about this with a lot of our clients, we wouldn't have recommended Vonage. It was just the company was in this weird space where the project management wasn't going well, and it was hard for us to want to recommend Vonage to our clients. But after the transition that you guys went through, you can tell by the rebranding of it all and the acquisitions you've made, Vonage is absolutely one of our top partners that we provide quotes for our clients, and one of the leaders for sure, because of all the stuff that you guys are doing. And you mentioned Salesforce. We had a client last year, had about 20 seats in their contact center, maybe about 80 seats for their UCaaS, and they're a Salesforce shop for a little real estate company, and they love the integration. It made it super easy. And like I said earlier about the multi-department, it was the customer service director that really led the sale, and IT just made sure it worked right at the end of the day when they're vetting the solution. So it really came down to the functionality of the Salesforce and the contact center. So thanks so much, Akil. I'd like to now hand it over to Zoom. Z is the last. Sorry that you guys have the Zoom name, but you're always last on the list. But first, to answer questions. So Ken Westerman, why don't you take it over and tell us what's new with Zoom?
Sounds good to me. I think I should be presenting here. Give me 1 second.
We see it.
Here we go. Perfect. All right. So again, my name is Ken Westerman. I am the channel manager for the channel team here for the engineers based in Boston. And just want to talk to you a little bit about, what Zoom is doing and kind of our solution, this one integration, one solution presentation. So, that being said, Zoom really is this power of one application. Everyone knows Zoom for our meetings, right? We're pretty ubiquitous today with that meetings application, which everyone used over the last 18 months. But Zoom has been around for 10 years and really has had all these applications, all this functionality available to our customer set over that 10-year period. Zoom, of course, Zoom meetings, everyone knows us for that. But we also offer a Zoom phone application. We just GA'd Zoom phone about 2.5 years ago to our public for the option to leverage a true PBX within one application. Zoom has been this power of one with chat, embedded in meetings, and also we've had this single first architecture that really is based in the cloud. Zoom has been a leader in Magic Quadrant now for 8 straight years in that video meeting side of things, and in our first year of eligibility also for that Zoom phone, because of that simplicity and that ease of use of how the application runs, where it's running, how it works, whether you're using an embedded application or WebRTC, it's available to use and leverage as you want as you're working. With that being said, right, it says video first native simplicity. Zoom was built in the cloud. We have, zero technical debt to move things from a premise base into the cloud. We were that first true meetings application that was in the cloud from a generation architectural standpoint, which means it's really easy and simple to deploy, simple and seamless with one pane of glass to manage. We have over 1,000 out-of-the-box integrations today, but we also have an open API platform, which allows you to, like the rest of the competition said, take and put this application into where you're living and working today. That's a huge piece to how our customers want to leverage our tool. We understand and know that you have many applications you're using today, whether it's a CRM tool or something different that you want to embed Zoom into, and of course that can happen. We're very agile. You probably were heard of Zoomtopia yesterday, the last 2 days. We announced something like 150 new announcements around new products, new features, new applications that are rolling out over the next, actually a couple of days ago through the next couple of months. And we're also truly mobile first from an application standpoint. You can leverage Zoom for your meetings, your chat, your phone, your Zoom for home, your on Zoom, all with one simple, easy to use application. Went too far. It's more interesting, as like I said, we're this huge true communications platform. It really is one true single architecture that unifies the experience for your customers and for those customer admins, providing this really intuitive integration models and modes that you can leverage across any application or any platform. It really is easy to use. We have people from Fortune 1 companies using Zoom all the way down to Mon Pa and Main Street America, and over 500,000 other customers leveraging it. But also people like my grandfather at 98 still use Zoom today. So that ease of use really truly is simple to understand. Zoom is available today in 40+ countries for the full Zoom United Suite. As I mentioned, we have over 1,000 integrations that are out of the box applications today that work within your workflows, workplace, and culture. And Zoom is incredibly robust and secure, which is incredibly important when it comes to how do you want to handle your meetings and your phone calls. What are you trying to accomplish with those as well? It truly is about this simplicity and scalability, right? Zoom wants to be this leader. We are this leader. We're making it easy to use, easy to scale, more effectiveness, more integrations, more efficiency. For us, it's about how do we help your customers and how do we help you guys truly drive where you want to be? How do we ensure that every day you come in to work wanting to use this one amazing tool that's going to help you get your job done every single day? Zoom is also, just pouring tons of money into R&D, right? We're looking at trying to improve this productivity and knowledge for the workers, the frontline workers, the backline workers, the admins. We're looking at how do we improve workstream connectivity and workstream improvements. This ideation of where is Zoom going to go? We talked yesterday about announcing this video call queuing and video waiting rooms. We want to be able to ensure that people have the ability to really work how they want to work. We're adding in things like productivity tips and mental health, cues, so that as people are working and using our tools, they have the ability to kind of, query themselves and make sure that they're doing the right thing for themselves, but also for their customers. It really is this hybrid work approach. Zoom for the last 10 years really has been about the hybrid environment, this work from anywhere conversation, trying to equalize the experiences of these office people, but also of the home workers or the nomadic people like myself. And for us, it's about that experience, right? If I hop onto a Zoom room or in a Zoom meeting, back in the old day, I might just see a long table with 10 people sitting at it. Well, that would be great. But Zoom has taken that one step further. So you still see that same table, but you can also now, with the right cameras in place, pick out those 10 faces of people to have that true Brady Bunch effectiveness screen, so that now I can see smiling faces of, say, Alex and Akil and everybody else, so that now I don't feel as intimidated by them sitting at a big table thinking, well, it's them against me. Now it's me against each of them individually. And so that's a huge way. We're leveraging AI. We have so much data coming in. So we're trying to leverage that AI to show better insights, to support the teams during, after, and before those meetings to make the right decisions or right outcomes. We're working with an open partner ecosystem to streamline workflows. we are a true communications platform that can leverage not only our internal ecosystem, but also the ecosystems of other partners that are out there today, whether it be a carrier or a CRM application that they're looking to leverage. And it's about leveraging that hardware. You've made an investment in your current hardware. We want you to help leverage that hardware, but to make that experience even better for you. So as you're thinking about the mobile application, but also the desk phone and your video meeting rooms, it's all available for you to leverage within Zoom. It's also becoming this, next-gen customer-centric engagement. Media SDKs are massive at this point in time. We just released a company or an event platform called, virtual events. We also released on Zoom recently. So now as a customer, you can, sell your wares through Zoom and reach a much broader audience, or for that matter, leverage our events platform to now create events and summits so that now you can leverage the platform and technology of Zoom video meetings and Zoom webinars within an application and events platform to help, again, sell your tickets to bring people into that application. And of course, continually just reaching for more and more development at that point in time. We have this track record of really truly innovating to become different. We released something like 410 or 20 features over the last year alone, and we just keep releasing more. Some of those are things like our virtual background, and touch-up appearance, which I use on a regular basis, by the way. Different filters that you guys have out there. You have the ability to have breakout rooms now within your meetings or within your webinars. You can have 50,000 people join live into your webinars. You can promote people back and forth. You can have these paid attendance now. You can have all this amazing flexibility within what you're doing to ensure that your application is truly secure. And for us, it's about that feedback, right? We innovate, we take that feedback from our customers and from our beta application, from our beta customers as well, to develop that in and then validate that against what the customers actually wanted. And we keep this continuous education and innovation circle moving. We also develop things kind of on our planned roadmap, but we have a team of developers that act immediately to our customer needs. And I'll use the example of, when the pandemic broke out, Zoom had to develop things straight away to kind of secure how meetings were being done. We ended up putting in place waiting rooms and hid a lot of the meeting ID information. That was done within a matter of a couple of days because of our developers that had that free resources to kind of take and choose and move that information around. Zoom will build a future where everyone has this equal voice, right? Whether, again, you're in the office or you're remote, where meetings are going to be smart. They're going to give you insight. They're going to help with your productivity. You're going to be able to leverage your favorite apps and work directly within Zoom Video, Zoom Chat, Zoom Phone. It's going to seamlessly collaborate all of these things together, so you don't need to worry about what applications you're running in the background. They're all going to be there embedded into Zoom to help you better, have your better working environment. Our communications are incredibly secure. We're going to be able to offer this best of the embedding side of things. We realize that, along with Salesforce and other different CRM applications, you may want to embed Zoom in there for your meetings, for your Zoom phone experience. Well, that can also happen today out of the box with Zoom. And then, of course, there's things like Zoom virtual events, right? Virtual events can be cumbersome and hard. The Zoom application today, with our virtual events application, you're creating this event platform, and then you're leveraging Zoom on that back end to really drive those events and drive the participation. And then, of course, Zoom also integrates Microsoft Teams, right? Let's be honest. Teams is the other big behemoth that's out there today. When the pandemic broke out, people rushed and bought Zoom and rushed and bought Teams. So we don't do the direct embed, though, as far as that direct routing is concerned. We actually do a cross launch of the Zoom application from Teams. So as I'm chatting with someone, I can choose to click on that little Zoom icon at the bottom. It's going to allow me to make a phone call, schedule a meeting, or start a meeting with them. It's going to then search Active Directory and the Zoom platform, whether you're using Okta or whatever you're using, for that person's extension and number. From there, I can actually reach out. But when I click on call, it takes me from the Teams application to the superior Zoom application to make and deliver that phone call. I can also, order a pizza by doing the same thing, clicking on the Zoom icon on the left-hand side instead. There's a dialer embedded into Teams. You're going to make that dial. You're going to then click on send. It's going to send the call over to the Zoom application. When you're done with the Zoom call, it goes back into your tray, and you're back in the Microsoft Teams environment. This for us is this truly, superior experience. We know that Teams, it's a great product for internal collaboration. When it comes to external collaboration, just like our competitors on here said, they'll have another application you can use and leverage. team realizes that they're not doing much for innovation, and so we want to innovate outside of that environment for teams. And then just one last little thing, right? We, as I mentioned, have anywhere from Main Street America to Fortune 1 as a customer of Zoom. But one of the cool things we're doing really is around just the integrations with our schools, right? The ability to have this true flexibility and be a true partnership with these customers. And for us, it's about, and I use Cobb County here, right? Cobb County, even before the pandemic broke out, they had their students learning remotely as well, 1 to 2 days a week. I do believe this is going to be a true way that schools are going to do that, but they didn't have a real good way to cobble it together with their learning environment. And so they came to Zoom and said, what do you guys have that we can use? And so now through webhooks and APIs, they've integrated Zoom into their LMS applications. Now as students are at home working, maybe it's after hours and they want to go and talk to their teacher, they can now link into that teacher, and the teacher can now be there to help them. Teachers can now reach out to parents, different faculty as well. And for us, it's about that experience for those students, right? What made it easier for them? Made it easier for them is embedding Zoom into their LMS applications so that now they can truly be learning from anywhere at any point in time and have that great superior Zoom experience to really engage with their students, but also engage with their teachers and professors and faculty to ensure that support will be there for different learning models moving forward. And that is it. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Ken. Fun to be on a panel with you twice in 1 week. And I'd like to invite all the presenters back up on stage. I know this is a Zoom, everybody knows Zoom. If you are a company that is using Zoom today for meetings and you love that experience, adding their voice is super clean and simple. There's no training involved. Your end users will just get it because it looks and feels like the meeting platform. With that, we would love to open it back up. I know that this was a unique format where we were speed dating 4 different providers. We do want to open it back up and have that open communication that the Confer Group is so well known for. So with that, any questions that we have either for everybody or a specific supplier out there? And I'm going to put myself on mute so I don't keep talking.
Hey, Dustin, one of that last slide you guys presented was showing Sandler partners. What's the relationship between Sandler and Adler?
Yeah, great question. Sandler Partners, the main company, they're the master agent or the broker. And so they are the ones that have the contracts with all 4 of these suppliers up here. And Alex and I have both worked there for more than a decade. What we did was we launched on top of the Sandler Partners platform, and we have our own brand called Adler Advisors. It was getting difficult to say like, hey, we work at Sandler Partners, but we do all these other things. We have a back office of 15 full-time employees. And it was just a cleaner story to say, we're at Adler Advisors now, our own company, where all of those people report to us, but we're built on a 20-year-long company of Sandler Partners. Great question, John. I am in sales, so I will go back on mute and keep it awkward so that I force somebody else in the audience to ask a question. I know there's smart people out there, and it is one of my favorite things about the Confer Group.
And we know this has been a long meeting, but we do want to give this opportunity. We can always get questions to any of these providers at any time. I'm happy to pass them on for you if you want to do that through me. I can get you to all these folks quickly. But we do have a few minutes if anyone has something they want to share or a question to ask.
I have a quick question for each of you. My organization is relatively small. We've got about 60 to 65 team members. About half of the team is working remotely, and we plan to continue it that way for quite a while. And then we have the on-site folks that are more manufacturing production. My question for you, each of you, is what's the average time to go through and do an implementation? So from the time we decide, okay, this is what we want to do, how long does it take to step through the entire process from implementation, including training and all of those pieces. So if I'm planning out this project for next year, how much time should I set aside?
And Ken, we'll start with you since you had to go last here today, and we'll head opposite alphabetical. Just give us a sentence or two about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Heather, it really depends on how organized you and the team are as far as what you have an understanding of, right? Deploying Zoom. I've seen companies deploy Zoom over the course of a weekend that have got, a couple hundred users they're just deploying back out again. So it really depends on, you're looking at deploying the full UCaaS suite. So, meetings, chat, and phone, which is fantastic. But, do you have phones you can reuse today? Porting is usually the longest pole in the tent. Porting takes between 2 and 3 weeks in North America. So really, that's kind of your biggest time frame is going to be that porting. Zoom can offer you fresh new DIDs instead, which we have a whole bunch in our pool. So you could start with those and eventually migrate over to your ported DIDs. From an enablement standpoint, Zoom can offer you, on-site enablement and training. We have, YouTube videos. We have our support.zoom.us website. You can go and find training. We can do training via the web. So that's, again, really on how you want to roll that out. I would say, though, depending on the size, let's say you're 1,000 people big, I'd say probably about a month to 2 months for a full rollout. You're going to be planning first, then kind of rolling things out, ensuring people are supporting it, enabling it, and then kind of finishing that rollout. So I'd say that's probably the time frame I'd probably put in place.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I would basically say, the time frames are exactly similar to what Ken just mentioned, Heather. So you could plan on about a month or two, just depending on how much information you've already gathered, if you're trying, and how complex the actual setup is going to be as well. So if you want to get into leveraging contact center functionality, if you're trying to integrate it with a CRM solution, some of that stuff, right? So that may add some additional time, some additional scoping that we'll do. And our teams will basically work alongside yours and the Confer Group to really scope it all out, make sure the right solution is designed up front, so that when we do go for the implementation, that information is already captured. And then as far as training is concerned, just like Ken mentioned, we could do on-site training, we could do training virtual. There's resources available through videos and user guides that can easily be accessed as well. And if there's on-site physical devices being installed, especially on the manufacturing side, right, we can have folks come on site, install the devices if they're overhead pagers or speakers, stuff like that, right? So we can work through all those components to really get that done. But yeah, our teams will work closely with you to make sure that we're holding your hand through the process.
Yep. Thank you so much, Akil. Erica?
Yep.
So I say the same exact thing. I mean, I say typically about a 6-week turnaround time is what you should expect for that, from the moment that you sign it to when a project manager gets assigned. And typically project managers, in a lot of our cases, right, we'll just be real, but in a lot of our cases, like, they're going to go through everything you have today. What are the DIDs? What's your inventory? What needs to exactly be set up, to begin with, and really kind of focusing more in that time. And it's going to depend on what you have prepared and what right? So if there's not, like, if you've got DIDs in a bunch of different places, you're not sure, that's where it could kind of give a little bit of a clog, but that's okay, right? Because that's whenever you're changing something, it's typically what happens. And then if you're doing more soft phone, because you said a lot of people are working from home, a Dialpad is an example. Typically when we go to spin up a user or a user spun up, we would add the user, Microsoft or whatever they're using, right? We would kind of add it through there, and then they would get an email and they would just download the application on their computer and on their phone, however, which way that would work. But yeah, I always say 6 weeks is a general safe period.
6 weeks is a popular answer. Chris, anything to add?
Yeah, I basically echo the same as well. So it's going to be 6 weeks to 8 weeks for us as well. And again, it comes down to the porting, it comes down to the training of the end users. What we learn with teams is that, not everyone trained at the same level. Some takes a few more trainings than others. So it comes down to, how often we need to train, and of course the porting as well. But it comes down to, when the training comes down to what Aquel just said as well, where we have resources available. We also have online training as well as for the live trainers. So it all depends on what you're looking for.
All right, thanks.
Excellent. Great question, Heather.
Anyone else?
Hey, it's Rick Schibler from Kentucky Trailer. I actually have 2 questions. One is for one individual and one is for all of you. So I'm going to start with the one individual question I have, and that's probably for Ken on Zoom. So we're currently a Ring Central user today. And I guess I'm trying to understand because our contract will be coming up due next year. I believe that the Ring Central meetings piece is actually a Zoom product. There was a relationship, I guess, with Ring Central to license that product, and I think that that relationship kind of has stagnated or gone the wrong way. I just wanted to know, I just really want to understand from a technology perspective, if you can give me some light on the Zoom versus Ring Central direction.
Yeah, I mean, sure. So you are correct, right? Ring Central was reselling our platform. They were always like 2 to 3 revs behind from what we're rolling out to what they had. They will not be able to resell the Zoom application as of, I believe it's the middle of next year. Don't quote me on that time frame, but there is something to that effect. So after that point in time, you'll be moving over to the Ring Central's application. They have launched, I think maybe a few months ago or earlier this year, their own kind of meetings platform. From a technology standpoint, from my standpoint, look, Zoom, I think we've been around for 10 years and we started with that video side of things. You've seen how easy and good it is to use with your current application, even through Ring Central being a few reps behind. I'm not going to bash their product. I think they've got a solid product as well, but drinking the Zoom Kool-Aid, I think ours is better for a whole bunch of reasons, right? Again, I think we have more data centers than they do. We have more connectivity partners than they do. We have just a better integration than they do when it comes to that. And they were a phone company first, bringing in and hitching into a meetings company. We were a meetings company first that was born in the cloud that has that collaboration tool and set there. So to me, I think there's a big difference, but I'm not going to say they're a bad product. I think it's what you're looking for as far as ease of use, connectivity, and applications you want to get into.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is for all of you, just maybe I missed it, but so for all of your products, is the support to the end user direct, or do you have to go through a reseller or a support entity to get support?
I will answer that for all 4 of them. It is direct.
Okay, thank you.
We will, Adler Advisors will be an additional layer of support. I always like to say, people are always worried, oh, are you going to be in the middle? We're never in the middle. Bills directly, demos with the carrier directly, bills with the carrier directly, supports with the carrier directly. What we have is that we'll probably roll out right around 100 phone systems this year, Rick, between me and the company. And so we have escalations. We were just hanging out with almost all the people on the screen earlier this week. So when something goes awry or your bill is wrong, I hop on the phone with Erica or Ken or their bosses, and we get things escalated and fixed very quickly for you.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. We've got 7 minutes left. No pressure to eat up all of that time. We can give you a couple of minutes back. Is there any burning questions that we have for the whole group while we have everybody together? Okay, Jeff, we'll turn it back over to you to wrap.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I appreciate all the presenters today. Dustin, Alex, thanks for emceeing this event for us. And again, we're here. Any questions, any connections you need to make, we can help do so as we move forward. We will terminate this recording at this point and make this available too in case the attendees would like to revisit. I know I've already had a request for the recording already. So.
Oh, Jeff just stepped off, so I'm going to fill back in. I just wanted to reiterate, the Adler Advisor Group that we've partnered with, we've known these guys for a long time. So I just want all the IT execs to know this isn't a new group to us. We trust them. We actually talk to them on a pretty much weekly to daily basis. So just know if you have any questions about them, we believe in them 100% and the people they bring to the table. But Jeff is back, so he can say bye. We'll all say bye. Thank you for coming. And thank you to all of our presenters. You did a great, great job. And we'll be in touch with everyone.